I found myself standing at the edge of a forgotten road. The cracked asphalt slick with dew, and the faint shimmer of fog curling around my feet like spectral fingers. Before me, a flickering neon sign cast a sickly glow, a jarring splash of color in the murk that read simply, "Carnival of Shadows." The letters blinked unevenly, some barely legible, as if the very sign struggled to maintain its hold on existence. I had no memory of how I arrived here, only a nagging compulsion that pulled me forward, deeper into the fog and toward that eerie beacon. The air was thick with the scent of burnt sugar and rust, a twisted perfume that clung to my skin and whispered of long-forgotten joys turned sour. From somewhere beyond the veil of mist, a faint, dissonant laughter trickled through the night, a hollow, chilling sound that crawled beneath my skin and made my heart stutter. Compelled by forces I could neither understand nor resist, I stepped forward, the gravel crunching beneath my feet like the brittle bones of forgotten memories. The carnival sprawled before me, a grotesque tableau of faded grandeur and creeping decay. Gaudy tents, their stripes faded and torn, rippled unnaturally in a breeze I could not feel. Above me, strings of broken lights blinked erratically, casting fractured shadows that danced and twisted like living things. The rides themselves seemed to breathe, their rusted gears and twisted metal limbs pulsing with a sinister life. The cursed laughter swelled, echoing through the carnival's hollow heart, wrapping around me like a shroud. Somewhere nearby, a voice boomed boisterous, larger than life, yet tinged with an edge of cruel mockery. Step right up, it called, a clarion summons that pierced the night. The carnival barker, a figure cloaked in shadow and spectacle, beckoned me forward. His words twisted through the air, taunting and promising torment in equal measure. My feet moved of their own accord, drawn toward the towering Ferris wheel that loomed like a skeletal giant against the sickly moonlight. Its cabins swayed gently, creaking with a sound that echoed like a death knell through the stillness. The cursed laughter reached a maddening crescendo, wrapping tighter around my mind, tightening like a noose. I hesitated at the base of the wheel, the weight of something unseen pressing down on my chest. The air thrummed with a terrible promise. Here, within this carnival that appeared only for the guilty, my sins would be laid bare. My past, long buried beneath layers of denial, would unravel with each turn of this cursed ride. Then, with a breath caught between fear and resolve, I stepped into the cabin. The door shut behind me with a hollow clang, sealing me within this twisting nightmare. The Ferris wheel groaned to life, its ancient machinery turning slowly, inexorably. The world outside blurred into darkness, and the cursed laughter settled around me like a storm waiting to break. As the wheel began its first rotation, I felt the first sharp sting of a memory clawing its way to the surface, a fragment of guilt, a whisper of betrayal. The carnival was no mere illusion. It was a manifestation of my own moral decay, a relentless torment designed to force me to confront the shadows I had long sought to bury. I gripped the cold metal bar before me, my knuckles white with tension, as the carnival's sinister light flickered through the cabin window. The cursed laughter echoed once more, a chilling reminder that escape was no simple matter. The ride had begun, and with it, my descent into a personal hell where punishment wore the mask of carnival delight. And I was trapped, drawn irrevocably into this grotesque circus of sin and sorrow, where each rotation would peel back another layer of my soul, exposing the raw wounds beneath. The carnival was here for me, and I had no choice but to ride. The night stretched on, a canvas of shadows and cursed sound. Somewhere beyond the veil, the carnival barker's voice rose again, a twisted melody of mockery and menace. "No turning back now," he called. "The show has only just begun." I swallowed hard, the taste of fear bitter on my tongue, and braced myself for what was to come. I found myself drawn deeper into the maw of this place, the air thick with a scent that was both metallic and sweet, like blood mingled with stale popcorn. The sky above was a sickening swirl of bruised purples and greens, as if the night itself was convulsing in silent agony. As I took a hesitant step forward, the carnival's distorted melody slithered through the air, a warped, dissonant tune that clawed at the edges of my mind. Ahead, the lights of the Ferris wheel dimmed and flickered erratically, casting fractured shadows that danced like grotesque phantoms. The laughter began again, low at first, a mere ripple in the oppressive silence, but then swelling into a chilling cackle that echoed off the warped metal and tattered fabric. It was laughter that didn't belong to joy, but to something cruel and ancient, a sound that gnawed at the soul. I stumbled into the Hall of Mirrors, a carnival staple that should have been familiar but here felt distorted beyond recognition. The glass reflected fragments of myself, broken and skewed into monstrous shapes. I saw eyes that were too wide, smiles that were too sharp, faces that twisted in agony and mockery. Each reflection whispered secrets I dared not remember, murmurs of guilt and shame. A sudden, piercing cackle shattered the heavy air. The laughing clown emerged from the shifting shadows, its face a grotesque mask of exaggerated features, a grin stretched impossibly wide, hollow eyes that burned with a mocking light. It danced around me, a maddening spiral of torment, its laughter weaving into the very fabric of my fear. I wanted to scream, to run, but my feet were rooted in the cracked pavement, held fast by invisible chains forged from my own remorse. The carnival seemed to breathe around me, alive with a sinister pulse. The rides twisted and warped, their colors bleeding into one another, becoming fluid and unreal. The carousel horses' eyes glowed with a hateful intelligence, their wooden mouths open in silent screams. The funhouse warped and stretched, corridors folding impossibly in on themselves, as if the carnival was a living nightmare intent on swallowing me whole. Then, without warning, a memory surged from the depths of my mind, a flashback so vivid it burned through the carnival's illusions. I was there again, in a cold, sterile room, the harsh fluorescent lights flickering overhead. I saw the face of a friend I had betrayed, the look of shock and hurt etched deeply into their eyes. The weight of that betrayal pressed down on me with brutal clarity, raw and unyielding. It was a wound I had tried desperately to bury, but which now bled openly in the warped carnival mirrors. The cursed laughter swelled in response, a relentless tide that threatened to drown me. The laughing clown's face loomed close, its grin widening as if savoring my torment. I staggered back, but the carnival's twisted landscape shifted, closing in around me. The twisted rides and warped lights reflected the deepest parts of my shame, a cruel tableau of punishment and regret. From the shadows, the booming voice of the carnival barker cut through the cacophony, his tone both theatrical and menacing. "Step right up, sinner," he called, his voice a velvet blade slicing through the heavy air. "Face the truth, or be consumed by your own laughter." I shuddered, caught in the grip of a terror that was both external and internal. The cursed laughter echoed louder, a maddening chorus that seemed to seep into my very bones. The carnival was no longer just a place, it was a crucible, a mirror of my soul's darkest corners, demanding I confront the sins I had long denied. With trembling hands, I moved toward the next ride, uncertain if I was stepping closer to salvation or deeper into damnation. The shadows whispered, the laughter promised horrors yet to come, and the carnival's twisted heart beat steadily beneath my feet. As I braced myself for what lay ahead, I knew one thing for certain. Here, in this nightmare made flesh, escape would not come without reckoning. And the cursed laughter would be the soundtrack to every step I took. The night stretched on, and with every flicker of the grotesque carnival lights, the whispers in the shadows grew louder, pulling me inexorably toward the next revelation of my guilt. There was no turning back now. The carnival had come for me, and it would not release its grip until I faced the darkest parts of myself. I swallowed hard, the air thick with the scent of decay and despair, and stepped forward into the abyss. The sign above read simply, Hall of Mirrors. Yet there was nothing simple about this place. The air itself seemed heavier, saturated with a disquiet that nestled deep within my chest. A cold breath of cursed laughter whispered through the gaps, a sinister prelude to what awaited inside. I hesitated at the threshold, the warped reflections of the carnival's garish colors fracturing across my face. My eyes caught their own haunted shadows, flickering in the glass like phantoms. Then, as if drawn by an unseen force, I stepped forward, crossing into the hall's maw. The moment I passed beneath the arch, the world fragmented. Mirrors towered on every side, their surfaces bending and twisting light into grotesque shapes and warped images. The carnival's vibrant colors splintered into shards of eerie greens, sickly yellows, and crimson reds that pooled in the depths of the reflections. My footsteps echoed hollowly, swallowed by the hall's labyrinthine geometry. My own reflection multiplied, 1,000 fractured shards of me fleeing in every direction. But these were no mere reflections, they were distortions, each one a caricature of guilt and betrayal. Some wore leering sardonic grins that split their faces in unnatural ways. Others wept silent tears that shimmered like broken glass. Their eyes, hollow and accusing, bore into my soul with the weight of unspoken sins. A sound rose beneath the surfacer, faint, insidious giggle that soon swelled into the cursed laughter I had come to know too well. It slithered between the mirrors, wrapping around me like a serpentine coil, pulling tighter with every step. The laughter was no longer just a background noise. It was a living thing, a predator stalking its prey. Images flashed in the glass, not mere reflections, but memory-shattered fragments of a past I had tried so hard to bury. Faces I had betrayed, moments of weakness and cruelty, exploded across the glass in surreal tableau. One reflection showed a hand pushing another away, a silent scream frozen in time. Another revealed whispered lies twisting into venomous smiles. The carnival's horrors blended seamlessly with these flashbacks, the line between nightmare and memory dissolving. Panic surged. I tried to look away, to find a clear path through the maze, but the mirrors seemed to close in, multiplying my sins with dizzying speed. Each step forward was met with another distorted accusation, another shard of guilt. The laughter reached a crescendo, a maddening chorus that clawed at my sanity. Then, from the edge of my vision, I caught a glimpse of the laughing clown. It lurked just beyond the mirror's reach, its distorted face illuminated by the flickering lights. The hollow eyes bored into mine with a merciless intensity, the exaggerated grin stretching impossibly wide. It seemed to mock not just me, but the very idea of escape. The clown's laughter mingled with the cursed chorus, a chilling symphony that echoed through the hall. I staggered back, heart pounding, breath ragged, feeling the walls close in as the reflections multiplied and convulsed. The mirrors no longer showed just my face. They revealed the fractured pieces of my soul, scattered and broken. A sudden gust of cold wind swept through the hall, rattling the mirrors and dimming the lights. The reflections shuddered, flickering between their grotesque forms and fleeting glimpses of who I once was, before betrayal, before guilt. For a moment, I glimpsed a fragile hope buried beneath the ruins. But the cursed laughter returned, louder and more relentless, shattering the fragile illusion. The clown's grin widened further, and I felt the unbearable weight of my sins pressing down, suffocating, relentless. I clenched my fists, forcing myself to meet the reflections head-on. I did this, I whispered, voice barely audible. I betrayed, I failed. I am responsible. The mirrors trembled. The laughter faltered, but only briefly. The hall held its breath, poised between despair and the faintest flicker of redemption. And then, as if sensing my resolve, the reflections began to shift. The grotesque faces softened, the accusing eyes blurred with sorrow. The shards of my broken past merged, forming a fractured, painful whole that I could no longer deny. I was trapped, yet somehow beginning to understand the cruel calculus of this carnival that to escape, I must face every shard of betrayal, every echo of guilt, until nothing remained hidden. The Hall of Mirrors was not just a ride. It was a reckoning. The cursed laughter faded to a haunting whisper, leaving me alone in the echoing silence of my own fractured soul. But even as I stepped forward, deeper into the carnival's nightmare, I knew the journey had only just begun. What else will I have to face before the Ferris wheel completes its turn? I wondered, the question hanging heavy in the cold air. And somewhere, in the shadows just beyond the shattered glass, the laughing clown's grin lingered, a promise that the torment was far from over. I moved cautiously among the warped stalls and faded banners, the murmur of cursed laughter weaving through the thick night air like a corrupting hymn. Then, from the depths of this living nightmare, it came a sound both familiar and abhorrent, the chilling, manic cackle of the laughing clown. At first, it was a whisper, a teasing ripple in the carnival's cursed symphony. Then it swelled, pouring from every direction, a madness-laced chorus that clawed at my sanity. From behind a cracked mirror booth, the laughing clown emerged like a grotesque apparition. Its face was an unspeakable distortion, painted in peeling white, smeared with streaks of crimson and black. The mouth stretched into a monstrous grin that seemed to fracture reality itself. Its eyes were hollow voids, endless pits that swallowed light and hope alike. The creature's presence was a physical assault. The air grew thick, heavy with the stench of rot and burnt sugar, a sickly carnival perfume that made my stomach churn. The clown's laughter rippled around me, echoing off twisted rides and shattered glass, a sound both childlike and nightmarish, mocking the very essence of my being. My heart hammered against my ribs, a frantic drumbeat drowned beneath that cursed cacophony. I tried to run, but the ground beneath my feet warped and rippled like liquid, distorting the familiar paths into a labyrinth of torment. Tentacles of shadow stretched from the darkness, brushing cold against my skin, whispering secrets of my sins in voices I dared not name. Each step was heavier than the last, guilt manifesting as an invisible weight that bent my spine and dulled my senses. The laughing clown pursued me relentlessly, its laughter a cruel metronome to my faltering will. I stumbled into a tent, its interior a funhouse of mirrors, each reflecting warped versions of myself, faces twisted in pain, eyes filled with accusation and despair. The clown's image appeared in every fractured shard, its grin widening, laughter multiplying into a maddening chorus. "You cannot hide," it taunted, its voice a rasping echo that seemed to seep into my bones. "Your sins are the music to my dance." Desperation clawed at me. I forced myself to stand, to face this nightmare incarnate. "Why me?" I cried, voice cracking beneath the weight of my terror. "What do you want from me?" The clown's grin deepened, shadows swirling around its form like living smoke. "Punishment," it whispered. "Judgment. You must see yourself clearly, or be lost forever in this carnival of despair." A surge of defiance flared within me. I would not be consumed by this grotesque tormentor, no matter how deeply it burrowed into my soul. Gathering trembling strength, I stepped forward, eyes locked on those hollow orbs. "I will face you," I vowed, "but I will not surrender." For a moment, the laughter faltered, replaced by a silence so profound it rang in my ears. Then, with a final, echoing guffaw, the laughing clown dissolved into the swirling shadows, leaving me alone amid the flickering lights and the lingering scent of decay. Though shaken, I felt a new resolve harden within me. The carnival was no longer just a place of torment, it was a crucible. Each step forward was a step deeper into the heart of my own darkness, but also a chance to claw back into the light. The cursed laughter might never fully fade, but I would learn to endure it, to understand the source of my punishment, and perhaps, one day, seek redemption. The night pressed on. The Ferris wheel loomed above, its cabins swinging gently in the cold wind, each rotation a promise of revelations yet to come. Whatever horrors awaited, I knew I could not turn away. The carnival had come for me, and I had no choice but to face its cruel, twisted embrace. The air was thick with the scent of stale popcorn mingled with something far more sinister, decay, regret, and the unmistakable tang of fear. Each step I took seemed to echo in the hollow spaces between the carnival's grotesque attractions, and my eyes darted nervously at the shifting shadows that slithered just beyond the periphery of vision. I stumbled into a small clearing where the flickering glow of a solitary lantern cast dancing patterns on the cracked cobblestones beneath my feet. There, standing with an eerie calm that contrasted starkly with the madness surrounding us, was a figure. She was pale, so pale that her skin seemed almost translucent in the dim light, with hair like spun silver cascading softly over her shoulders. Dressed in faded carnival garb that had long lost its color and vibrancy, she exuded a quiet dignity that felt almost otherworldly. "You're far from the beginning," she said softly, her voice carrying a soothing cadence that cut through the din of cursed laughter. "But the path is not yet closed." I blinked, unsure if this apparition was another trick of my tortured mind or something more tangible. "Who are you?" I whispered, my voice hoarse and trembling. She smiled faintly, a gesture both comforting and cryptic. "A traveler like you, once lost in this endless carnival of shadows. They call me Myra." The name echoed strangely in my ears, a beacon amidst the chaos. "Why are you here? What do you want from me?" Myra tilted her head, her gaze steady and compassionate, to guide those who still yearn for release. "You carry burdens heavier than you know, but they need not be your chains forever." Her words struck a chord deep within me, a fragile thread of hope woven through the dense fabric of despair. How do I escape this place?" A flicker of sadness crossed her silver eyes. "Escape is not found in running or denial. It is found in facing the truth that binds you and embracing it fully, even the parts you wish to forget." I swallowed hard, the weight of her words pressing down on me like the oppressive carnival sky. "But the laughter, it never stops." She nodded slowly. "The cursed laughter is the voice of your guilt. It will not cease until you make peace with yourself." Together, we began walking through the shifting carnival paths, the grotesque rides looming like monsters in the darkness. Around us, shadows writhed and twisted, distorted faces leering from the cracked mirrors and faded posters. Yet, With Myra beside me, the suffocating grip of fear loosened, replaced by a tenuous thread of courage. "There is a way," she murmured, "but it demands more than endurance. It demands acceptance." Her words sank into my heart like cold rain, awakening a resolve I thought long buried beneath layers of remorse. I wanted to believe her, to grasp at this slender lifeline amid the storm of my torment. As we reached the edge of the clearing, Mira paused and looked back at me, her expression a blend of warmth and warning. "The journey ahead is perilous, but not without hope. Remember, the carnival reflects what you carry inside. To change the carnival, you must change yourself." Before I could ask more, she faded into the mist, her figure dissolving like a whisper carried away by the night wind. I stood alone again, surrounded by the cacophony of cursed laughter and the grotesque spectacle of the carnival. Yet, something inside me had shifted. The crushing weight of despair had not lifted, but a fragile spark of hope had been kindled, a hope that perhaps, through acceptance and forgiveness, I might find a way to silence the laughter and escape this endless nightmare. But the carnival had yet more horrors to reveal, and the path to redemption would be fraught with pain and revelation. Still, with Myra's words echoing in my mind, I took a hesitant step forward, ready or at least willing to face whatever came next. The cursed laughter swirled around me, sinister and relentless, but beneath it, I thought I heard a faint, almost imperceptible melody, the possibility of salvation just beyond the next turn.